My summer retro merch collection is available now at all new pricing, so head over to BigfryShop.com, grab a t-shirt, support the channel, and rock some dope clothing. This is seemingly becoming the standard thing in the industry now. Games coming out multiplayer only, trying to capture an audience in a very crowded space where every game is fighting for your attention, only to die a few months or a year later. These games are usually free-to-play titles, jam-packed with microtransactions that are not usually pay to win, they're usually cosmetic only, but at the end of the day, who really cares if the game doesn't have any long-lasting shelf life? A game that I was actually really rooting for entering the space was a game called Crows, and unfortunately, that's where this video is going. Crows has announced that they are shutting down development, and it's only been 11 months on the Steam store. I have all the details here. My name is Big Fry. Don't click away. Let's get into it. So just a quick recap for those who don't know what Crows is or was. It was a free-to-play, team-based, massive multiplayer shooter where you engage in large-scale combat in a conquest-style game mode. It had things like vehicles, point control, tons of weapons, and it wasn't that bad of a game. The biggest issue was the performance of the servers, but a lot of players also hated the fact that you could play in first and third person, rendering FPS-only players at a disadvantage. But the game had a lot of things going for it that were positive. Things like character and weapon customization, a fully fleshed out battle royale mode. Yeah, I know, another one. But the Conquest mode is where I thought this game shined. At the end of the day, my coverage of the game last year reflected the fact that even though this game had a lot of things going for it, other games in the FPS space did those things better. There was never a moment where somebody said, hey, I think Crows has the best customization, or the best game mode, or the best anything. And thus, the game petered out shortly after launch. On Friday, May 26, 2023, Crows put out a rather cold post on their social media platforms announcing the end of service for the game. Hello, dear mercenaries. We would like to express our gratitude to all our mercenaries who have loved and supported Crows so far. Unfortunately, we have made the hard decision that Crows service is terminated on August 29th, 2023. Since presenting Crows for the first time in beta tests in November of 2021, we have been trying to make it up for the interest and love of our mercenaries, but in the current situation, we have decided that it is difficult to provide better service, so after much consideration, we have made a difficult decision to terminate the service. Please play the game by referring to the service termination schedule below, and we will do our best until the end so that the mercenaries who are with us until the end won't feel uncomfortable. Now, the writing was on the wall earlier this year when the developers literally had to give the Season 3 Battle Pass out for free. Nobody was playing the game at this time, and it's unfortunate because I actually thought that out of the plethora of terrible games that I have covered on this channel over the years, Crows actually had some potential. But the game went to Steam too damn early, against a lot of the beta testers' wishes. Players were giving the developers feedback early on in those tests that they referenced back in November of 2021, and they essentially ignored all of the feedback and they pushed the game out to Steam anyways, even though it clearly wasn't ready to go. And here we are, only 11 months later, getting the notice that it is now shutting down. And I don't want to be that I told you so guy, but I just have to wonder what's going through the minds of their publishers and their potential investors, people who actually had money going into this project. Crows was not a cheap game to make. You can see that there was effort and money thrown at the title, and it was all for nothing because the developers ignored crucial early feedback that could have changed the entire game for the better. On top of that, the bottom of this post reads that all refund policies are preceded by Steam's policies, meaning if you bought anything for the game, chances are you're not getting refunded. And I imagine, like with all of these games, there are people who have spent quite a bit of money into this. The problem with things like this is the consumer base is already at an all-time high for their skeptical nature, and every time another game enters this state, it just adds to the concern for future titles. It is becoming impossible to break into the space with a multiplayer-only title because you need a constant cash flow to not only support the servers, but to support the developers making the game. But players don't want to invest in yet another game because, well, it might just die in 11 months and then you can't get refunded. Stuff like this is what's pushing people to consistently sit within the AAA cycle every year, because we know that Modern Warfare has got a year and then the next one's going to come out, and we know that cycle and we know it's always going to be there. It is consistently mediocre. Whereas something like Crows, or even my last video covering Blood Hunt, it's not consistent. We don't know what is actually going to happen, and to take a chance on yet another indie game that is entering the multiplayer space, it's a huge gamble if you want to actually put in money and support the game. I've been gone for 3 days on a trip to San Francisco for a capture event that you guys are going to be hearing about soon, and just in the last 3 days, I have seen 2 studios completely shutter that I'm going to be covering on this channel, and it seems like this is inevitable for a lot of companies nowadays. I'm not gonna lie, my confidence in the gaming industry right now is at an all-time low, and it's been at an all-time low for a long time. But when I continually see games come out, die, studios shut down, games closing down, it's looking pretty bleak out here, guys. And I'm not quite sure what's going to turn that around, but we're headed down a path that I am not a fan of, especially when you have games like Crows that, again, I thought had a lot of potential, but they didn't want to invest into things like community servers or community gameplay. So because they control the servers, there's literally no way to play the game. Crows at the end of August is going to be like gone, like doesn't exist anymore. There's no longevity, there's no lifespan, there is nothing. Like, you can still log in and play some of the old titles that we played growing up because they had community servers. You could host servers for them, and those games could technically last forever. But in the case of Crows, at the end of August, it will enter the oblivion with every other title that we have been covering on this channel as of recent. And it is super unfortunate. Have you guys heard of Crows? Did you get a chance to play it? And if so, let me know what you think down below. If you've never heard of it, let me know, because I'm super curious if it came down to marketing or something else. As always, guys, my name is Big Fry. Make sure you go over to BigfryShop.com. Check out my new merch collection. The shirts are super cheap over there. You can support the channel that way. But if not, leave a like on the video and subscribe for everything FPS news related. And I'll see you on the next one.